All right, Hey, Shalom, Makyam. I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shah by Hashem Makakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the others that rule well. And peace and blessings to you brothers out there that's kicking his word in sincerity and truth. When you do research on the so-called white man and what he considers race and things of that nature, it's really made up. It's pseudoscience. It's really that he used as a tool to set up a caste system, to put himself on top and use these different pseudosciences, case in point, Darwinism, social Darwinism, eugenics, and things of that nature, as a means to perpetuate white supremacy, or set up a Edomite caste system. And you see that same uh, uh, you know wicked vibration, if you will, for lack of a better term, in religion. In fact, religion was the first tool that the so-called white man used as a means to perpetuate uh, Edomite supremacy. So before we start, I wanted to get uh, the definition of what a caste system is, man. And then we're gonna dive into Calvinism, because that's the talk of the town, right? Uh, you know, you know, Case in point is vocab alone. He's a Calvinist, and the reason why he views what we say is so crazy, is because Calvinists believe that a indicator that the Lord is dealing with you is the fact that you have material wealth, which has nothing to do with the scriptures, but really that was a means, a justification for them to be demons, man. You know, so let's get this a quick definition, if you will. And then we'll dive into this article that I found. It'll help better explain why I'm using that term, caste system. The caste system in India is paradigmatic ethnographic example of caste. It is its origins. It has origins in ancient India and was transformed by various ruling elites in medieval, early modern, and modern India, especially in Mughal Empire and the British Raj. It is today the basis of educational and job reservations in India. You know, and they said all that to say, if saying all these jargons, these social jargons, to say this, you had the top and you had the bottom, you know, and those at the top, they receive in India the best education and the best jobs. Where you see the same thing going on here in America, man. Statistically speaking, the so-called white man is doing substantially well, um, compared to the so-called black man, because he has the opportunity. You see, he has the opportunity to get these jobs, you know, and things of that nature. Why is that? Because it's based on his skin color. You see, and again, Calvinism forward this thought. Okay, and we're going to prove it. The caste system as it exists today is thought to be the result of developing during the collapse of the Mughal era in the British colonial regime in India. And really, that really was a point on that, man. At the beginning, it says it's a caste system. It's a paradigmatic ethnographic example of caste. Let's get this word caste. That's really what we want. A caste is a form of social stratification characterized by endogamy, is the practice of marrying within a specific social group, caste, or ethnic group. Which you seen here in America. You know, shoot. in early times, in contemporary times, like I would dare say even in the 1960s, it was outlawed for a so-called black man to marry a white woman in certain states. You see, hereditary transmission of a lifestyle, which often includes an occupation, status in a hierarchy, customary social interaction, and exclusion. Although caste system exists in various regions, its paradigmatic ethnographic example is the division of India's into rigid social groups, which roots in India's ancient history and persisting until today. And again, uh, India is the example. You got the untouchables, which are the darker skin, and then of course we had the on top you had the warrior tribes, and I forget the term for them, but they are more light skinned. You see, and that same sentiment is found here in the great USA. You see, and it was formed by who? The Edomites, man, and they used religion and a pseudoscience, as a means to accomplish this wicked act. Now, this is according to University of Colorado, Denver. Now, this is written by Barbara Goodrich. Uh, she has a PhD. That means anything to us, which it doesn't. Says this is the introduction. The Reformation, i.e., the rise of Protest- Protestantism against the Roman Catholic Church in Europe was with in Europe with reformers such as Luther and Calvin occurred at the same time as a major economic shift in Europe. The old powers that be, the old ruling class, the aristocrats, had claimed that their wealth and power over others were justified by God's having ordained it by a natural hierarchy. You see, but through the Renaissance and Enlightenment, they have been losing wealth and power to the rising wealthy merchant families who had originally been mere middle class, mere commoners. Uh, Now, these new wealthy commoners are becoming the new ruling class, competing with the aristocrats. They, of course, are attracted to the Protestant Calvinist work ethic because, according to it, their new wealth and power over others are justified by God's ordaining it because they appear to be of the elect of God's chosen few. So you had these people that was accumulating this wealth, and they was like, you know what, the Lord is dealing with us. We got to be of the elect. You see, because Calvinists they believe in predestination. You know, they believe in predestination, like we believe in predestination. But what makes us different from the thought of Calvinism is this: we don't uh, consider wealth as an indicator that you are of God's elect. It's all about, saying, understanding and exemplifying the law, statute, and commandments, and more importantly, the faith in Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. You see, and being a brother, you know, there are very different style. There's a very different style with the new ruling class before the aristocrats showed their wealth. Their portraits demonstrated fur, jewels, uh, brilliant colors for both men and women. Here's Hans Holbein's famous 1537 portrait of England's Henry VIII, proudly loaded with bling. You see that? Now these are the aristocrats, but the Calvinists they thought they had a different mindset. They were way more conservative, and because they believed that in predestination, so they believe that it's very important that you seem lowly, and also to the best ability, live a very strict lifestyle. Okay, contemporary rich merchants displayed wealthy wealth through finery, through though they often seem uneasy about it. Here's another Holbein's portrait of Danzig merchant George Gizzi in 1532. His motto is stated in Latin. It translates as "no pleasure without regret." You know, that's the so-called Edomite. But increasingly, the rising middle class businessmen showed not only their wealth discreetly, but they also showed their proudly rigid self-discipline and thrift. We see a new fashion of men dressing much more soberly than women, especially in plain black. Even one, well, it won't need that. This is Derrick's Howe's 1648 portrait of an affluent young man, Beth Bal Baldashar Coymans, in the middle of the fashion change. Note the ornamentation on his sleeve. You see, so there's a transformation going on, and the fashion of and this is the fashion further advanced in a group of powerful middle class businessmen, the syndics of the cloth guide by Rembrandt in 1662. So obviously they're very conservative. Um, let's see here. I don't know if I want to get that one right there, but I want to jump down. Calvinism. According to Calvinism, each human is steeped in the original sin inherited from Adam and Eve. Humanity is horribly corrupt and powerless besides. Keep in mind, as we read this, brothers, this is written by an Edomite woman. Okay, so she's gonna think it's comical that people believe in predestination, which again we do, but we believe it on the right hand side. You see, the standard line of most uh, versions of Christianity is that by grace, the loving God redeems humans from the original sin. Some versions of Christianity hold that God redeems all humans. Some versions hold that humans themselves instigate their own redemption by the faith in the Most High. An example, etc., etc., etc. Calvin, however, was unusual in that he regarded humans as so disgusting that he thought that there was an unbridgeable uh, change chain between the Most High and us, and that we were too unworthy to have any influence on the Most High's decision at all. Which you know what? He's exactly right. According to the scriptures, he's exactly right. You know, and let's prove that in the scriptures. Let's prove that in the scriptures. You know, because what he's saying is wrong. The beginning part, you'll go down when we continue to read. We'll figure out. Well, we'll see. That's a better term. We'll see, where he's going off at. Because again, this is the so-called white man, so he gonna tell some of the truth and bend it towards a lie, for his own um preparations. Proverbs 16:1. The preparations of the heart and man, and the answer of the tongue is from Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but Yahweh waiteth the spirit. Commit thy works unto Yahweh, and thy thoughts shall be established. Uh, Yahweh hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. So the Most High makes everything. And you are predestinated to go off. You see, you have a group of people that's on the earth that were created to be basically demons, man. And we know it to be Edomites, the son of perdition. You see, he used these people as his sword, man, to cut down the righteous for those who are because we were going off. You see, let's get back to the scriptures. I mean, not the scripture, excuse me, this article. In other words, nothing one can do would make any uh, difference whatsoever regarding whether the Most High chose to redeem one or not from one's hideous original sin and impeding a damnation. But further, at least in principle, Calvin believed that one can't determine who is chosen elect by the Most High to be redeemed and who isn't. The word elect may have a connotation of choice to us when we think of voting in elections, but here the choice is thought to be the Most High's entirely. Calvin thought that the Most High chooses or doesn't chooses us. We can't choose him, which is again is correct. It's not mostly it's not emotionally easy to believe such a discouraging doctrine as predestination and a doctrine that one is utterly powerless over and ignorant of one's destiny. Weber writes that Calvinist ministers had to adapt this pastoral advice into the following. On the one hand, it is held to be an absolute duty to consider oneself chosen and to combat all doubts as temptation of the evil, since lack of self-control is the result of insufficient faith, hence of imperfect grace. The exhortation of the apostle to make fast one's own calling is here interpreted as a duty to obtain certainty of one's own election and justification in the daily struggle of life. On the other hand, it ordered to obtain that self-confidence, intense worldly activity is recommended as the most suitable means, and really that's going into what um you know you can't really know that you're saved, but how you act, is a good indicator. He's going back to those worldly activities, which is again, he's exactly right. We don't know whether or not we are the elect, but faith. He's going into James. Faith without work is dead. You see. But let's keep reading. Keep on reading. I want to jump down for time's sake. Uh, let's see here. Jump down to let's see on the screen, one, two, that third paragraph I count. Now it's rather natural if one is a Calvinist to be constantly looking for any little indication that the Most High does approve of oneself, that the Most High has predestined one to be redeemed, that one is of the elect of the Most High. And how might the Most High give any promise, a promising little hints? Well, material success is one way. There you go. And and that's the lie right there. You see, if one has a successful business, the Most High seems to be smiling on one. And as for those poor, destitute farmers who just lost everything they own due to a drought, well, the Most High is all powerful and must have decided that they should suffer. And who are we, miserable sinners, to disagree and thwart the plan of the Most High? Thus, the Calvinists developed a European versions of India's infamous caste system. You see that? Let's read that again. Thus, the Calvinists develops a European version of India's infamous caste system, and they used Calvinism as a way of rationalizing how they treated the nation of Israel, which consisted of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. They came over here and they deemed us as savages. You see, deemed us as incompetent, took our land, you see, put us in captivity and said, you know what? The Most High is dealing with me This is my destiny to do these things because I am of the elect. You see, this is the mindset of the so-called white man. You know, pure evil. You see, the elect they're to wait on the Most High, but see, the so-called white man, he's trying to forge his own blessing, man, on the left hand side. You see, in ancient Egypt, foreign conquerors solidified their conquest by imposing a religion on the populace. According to this religion, there were set classes or castes of people, and everyone born into the poor class must have done something in a previous life to deserve such punishment. Similarly, the Calvinists uh, uh, attributes of prosperity and poverty to the mysterious working of the Most High, which He is. They are right. You see, they are right. The Most High did set them up to rule at this given time, but soon the Most High is going to set this kingdom, um, or for a better word is the world into a righteous king, into a righteous king, which we know to be Yahweh Shah. You see, but let's get to the scriptures. Now this is Daniel's 2:21, and he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings and setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise and knowledge to them that knoweth understanding. The Most High set up kings and he takes down kingdoms, man. You see, and that's what the so-called white man he fails to realize. His time is almost up, and he doesn't see that the so-called, well, not so-called, he doesn't see that the Most High is the one that's taking down his kingdom. Why is that? Because of his pride and his arrogancy. You see, I'm gonna jump up on this one. That is Isaiah 41, 47 and 1. Slacky. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. And we know who is the virgin daughter of Babylon, where we could go to Psalms 137 and 7, you know, and it's going that title was given to Edomites, man. You see? So this is Psalms Isaiah, 47 and 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take thee millstones and grind the mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover thy thigh, pass over the rivers. The Most High is revealing that this so-called white man, the Edomites, are pure devils, and they had nothing to do with the scriptures. You see, they have absolutely nothing to do with the scripture. And he's being revealed. The so-called white man is being revealed by the truth of the scriptures, man. Who are the true elect of the Most High, of Yahweh by Yahweh Shah, which are the man of Israel, man, not you Edomites. You know, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. That's right. So when Yahweh Shah return, he's gonna be in full force, baby. You know, as for our Redeemer, Yahweh of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms. And we know the Chaldeans are who? The elite. I was wroth with my people. I had polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. Thou didst show them no mercy. Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. You see that? The only reason why the so-called white man is ruling because we as a nation were falling after these idols, you know, giving our vibration to other gods, man. There were really no gods. And so the Most High set up the Edomites to be, you know, basically a whooping stick for the so-called white man, for the Most High, Salakia. But soon we see that table being turned, man. You know, the understanding of you so-called white people are being destroyed and being dismantled. And then you're going to be physically taken down, starting with Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. And according to Jeremiah 16:16, the saints are going to help. You see, the Most High is going to allow to where we're going to help take you all down, man. And that's according to the scriptures. You see, as thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever. Show that thou didst not lay these things to thine heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures, thou dwellest carelessly, thou sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. And that's the mindset of a so-called white man. You see, America people, the so-called white population here in the U.S., they believe that America's gonna go on forever. It's where you have slogans like "Make America Great Again." You see, that's why you see all these white nationalist groups pop up. Why is that? Because they believe that they are the top. They believe that when it comes to mankind or human beings, they're the top of the food chain, man. And they've justified for centuries with their false religions and their pseudoscience. You see? And Calvinism is a tool of this false reality that the so-called white man, you know, has forged on the planet Earth, man. But now what do you see going on? Well, you see the truth going happening. You see a reality sitting in, man. And reality is this: America is falling. Babylon the Great is written about in Revelation 17:18. It's deteriorating right before you so-called white people eyes, which are Edomites. You see, we're starting to see that you're not the hunk of the earth. You're in fact, some a damn devil, a damn demon, man. You see, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day: the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. That's right. And a huge part of that sorcery and those enchantments that's talked about in Isaiah the 47th chapter and 9th verse is religion. Here it is: the so-called white man has destroyed, killed, maimed millions of people for centuries. I would say billions if you want to go centuries, in the name of Christianity. You see, or not even Christianity, because people like to say, well, it's religion's fault. We don't even have to bring out Christianity. The so-called white man has destroyed thousands and millions of people in the name of science, i.e. eugenics. Look at the indigenous people of Tanzania. They've been totally wiped out in the name of science, man. You see, all these sorceries that the so-called white man has perpetuated, throughout the earth, man, is being brought low. You see, and the Most High is is not dealing with you just because you have money, man. You see, that's not an indicator that the Most High is dealing with you. How we know that the Most High is dealing with you is if you're exemplifying the true teachings of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and you're acknowledging the true teaching of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, man. You're acknowledging who the nation of Israel is, which is you, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. And you're out there doing the work for the Heavenly Father. You see, those are the men that are of the elect, man. Not you, fat, greasy, rich white man that has done nothing for wealth. Here is you talking about the Most High is dealing with you, and you want to, emphasize your work ethic, which we didn't get in that. It was talking about that in that article, the work ethic of the Protestants. You white people, man. When you work with so-called white people, they complain the most, man. They had nothing to do with it, with working hard. The so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans bust they butt in order for them to uh you know make ends meet, man. For real, man. But let's get this, and this will be my last scripture. Now this is Amos 8:4. Hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath that we may set forth wheat, making the ep- ephah small, and the ephah like small, and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit. Now, this is talking about the nation of Israel, in particular the northern tribe, but we know that this applies to the so-called white man. You see, because who uh, uh falsifies balances, man? Who does that? You see, the so-called white man. You see, and a prime example is that is the petrodollar. The petrodollar has a artificial demand because of the treaties that was made in the 1970s, man. Okay, by Richard Nixon. Okay, so now you're seeing all the other nations, they're rising up against the so-called white man, because they know that the American dollar is nothing but a fiat currency. Here recently you had India uh get rid of the US dollar as its reserve currency, and it's beginning to buy gold, man. You see? Why is that? Because it's time. The judgment is nigh, man. For Babylon the Great, and for you Edomites, that we may buy the poor for silver, and the needy for a pair of shoes, yea, and refuse and sell the refuse of the wheats, and refuse of the meats. That means bad wheat, and that's what you get here in America, man. Producing GMO, so you could have a monopoly on agriculture. You see, and selling us poison, man. GMO creates cancer, man. But what the so-called white man do? Well, he sell it because, you know, he makes a profit. You know, and we know that his money is God. Well, his to him, you know, Yahweh hath sworn by the excellency of Jacob, surely I will not forget all of thy all their works. Shall not the land tremble for this, and everyone mourn that dwelleth therein? And it shall rise up holy as a flood, and it shall be cast out and drowned as by the flood of Egypt. And that's really going into the Nile River, because the Nile River used to flood often, man. But the point really was made in verse 7, man. Most High is not gonna forget the work of the wicked, man, and he's gonna recompense, all this iniquity that the so-called white man has done to the world, man, on him. Yeah, this is Luke 6:24. But woe unto you that are rich, for you have received your consolation. You see, so having financial wealth is nothing. It's not an indicator that the Most High is dealing with you, man. Okay, that's a bold-faced lie, and really that was a rationalization for you white people, you Edomites, to do horrendous acts on the face of the earth, man. Chiefly to the nation of Israel, which consists again to you to assist again of the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native Americans, man. Okay, and most are willing. So most are willing. This was edifying, man. I want to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders that rule well. And peace and blessings to you brothers out there that's kicking his word and sincerity, also in truth. Shalom.